Howdy, howdy. It's Carrie again. Welcome to a new week. Being Monday, I got thinking over the weekend. My cat's gonna jump up here in a moment, so don't freak out like I will. But anyway, being in a Monday, I really got thinking about animals. For example, you know, the birds get you up in the morning and really get things going. I told you she would do that. See. All right, so this is Violet. Speaking of animals, how appropriate is this? Perfect. Anyway, um, Violet, honey, you gotta sit down. She doesn't listen to me at all. But as long as she doesn't show you her butt, we're good, right? I don't know. She's crazy. Okay, I'm crazy, not her. She's probably totally sane. I'm the one that's a little Fruit Loops. Anyway, Um, so I got thinking, getting up in the morning, it gets so early, the birds are chirping, and it's like, oh, I love that. One of the things that happened when I moved here and really went through a rough time, um, being secluded before COVID, even, and then being secluded through COVID, and now I'm still finding myself in a bit of seclusion, but that's because I choose it, versus um, being forced to. It's just I don't know, not ready to really get out there and do well relationships, so to speak. I'm just not ready for those yet. I'm still healing, and until I'm fully healed, I'm not going to be good for anybody else. So while I'm healing, it's still good that I be to myself because I can focus on a lot of the different things that are helping me heal and then hopefully share that with you and we can all heal together, or maybe a tip will help you. But anyway, so thinking of the birds, last year, I was just at my lowest point. One of the things, if you watch my attempted murder or escaping it videos, a lot of pets were lost. I worked with the Humane Society um, on some uh, raising kittens from newborns to 2 weeks old usually. I would bottle feed them and I would clean them and I would bathe them and keep them warm and be the mama kitten to them. So a lot of them really gravitated to me as mama. Or in one case, my last one, the mother was so sick she could not care for the kittens. She was really sick and about to die, but through I gave her IV treatments, I gave her medications, kept her clean. She had tapeworm, got that out, got other worms out, and eventually, she was able to, start feeding, the babies. They were a little bit bigger at the time she got healthy enough. So it really didn't help, but another batch of kittens came through at the time she got healthy, and she was still had milk, so she was able to feed those babies, which was just wonderful. So she didn't miss her litter. She got to raise a different litter, and she took them in just as her own, which was beautiful. Some of the cats, were adopted by me and my stepchildren, and when they left off to college, I was taking care of them. So I had quite a few pets. That's the crazy cat lady. Oh yeah, a crazy cat lady. Only one now, Violet. This is it. It's just me and her. Um, but anyway, she's enough for me. We're good. But because I felt like a mother to them as well, leaving them and knowing some of them were killed, some were given homes, but getting them out of there was so important because when I found out what was actually happening in the home, I had a dog. And there was one day, I know I came home from work and I took the dog outside and he was struggling walking a little bit. He was starting to have, he was a German Shepherd, he was starting to have some hip issues. At least I thought he was having hip issues. I did not know at first that this was going on, but he would bark all the time when strange people would come up to the house. That particular day, before he went down the stairs, and he looked like, well, this is going to be painful. And he turned around and he looked at me, gave me really sad eyes. And I said, I know, you can make it down the stairs. I just thought it was his hits. I did not know until I watched videos that he was kicked that day. These people were not nice to animals that were coming into my home. My ex was not nice to that dog when I wasn't around. So some of that, and then knowing that they were left there, really hurt. And I didn't think I was going to be able to be around animals for a really long time because I felt I betrayed them so badly. Anyway, last year, I remember opening my window, which I really was not opening my doors and windows or even going outside. People were like, "You gotta get out. You gotta get some sun. You gotta get out of that place." I'm like, "I don't want to. I don't want to." Well, finally, a member of my church happened to be the pastor's wife, who is a really great friend of mine. She's an incredible lady. Um, she puts up with so much from me, helping me heal, that I feel sorry for her more than me. But she's an amazing woman who won't quit. She loves God with all her heart, and I can only hope to have that kind of passion one day. But anyway, she had convinced me. I said, "I'll open my bedroom window. I'll open the blinds. I'll open the window." To my surprise, when I did that, there's a birch tree outside my window, and it comes to a V, and in that V was a nest, and it was a dove nest with mourning doves here, quite a few of them actually, and they coo and make that. You think it's an owl, but it's not. It's one of the mourning doves that's actually making that sound. It sounds like an owl, but anyway, there was a mourning dove sitting in it. Every time I would look out that window, morning, noon, night, there was a dove in there. When one dove would leave, and the doves fly in pairs, by the way, I have never seen a single dove. I've seen them all in pairs. And when one dove would leave the nest, another one would immediately be right there to take its place, and there were eggs. I was so excited. Every single day, I would wake up in the morning, and I finally had a love for getting up in the morning. Actually a reason to get out of bed, go look out the window, check on the doves. It was beautiful, and I could not wait. I had the perfect view. I was from my window on the second story. I was maybe 5 feet from this nest, right? Like I could put my broom out the window and touch it. And I thought, I'm going to be able to see these baby birds. They're going to get bored. I'm going to be able to see them in the nest, watch them eat. This is fabulous. This is, just what I've done my whole life. Now I get to watch, these birds do this naturally. Really excited. One day I was working and I worked from home, and all of a sudden I heard this cawing, and the cawing of a crow, right? And the cawing got louder and louder, and I could tell there were a lot of crows. And this wasn't just one, and this was a bunch of crows, a flock, clearly. So I was like, okay, so I paused from work for a moment. I went to the window. I thought, what is all the ruckus about? Well, the crows were actually attacking the dove nest. And finally, this is going to tear me up too, because I've had such a zest for life for this. The first time in a year and a half. And they were picking at it to the point where the dove flew out. And I'm watching this, and luckily it was a break time for me, so I had 15 minutes to observe this. And they were poking at the eggs, and other doves, though, would come flying and swoop in and try to get the crows to go away. But unfortunately, there were too many crows that must have came in from all over, because I don't know where they came from. Definitely outnumbered the doves. The doves just gave up, and they flew away. And the crows took the eggs. And I was like, are you kidding me? They just stole those little baby eggs, and they're clearly going to eat them and whatever. At that point, I wasn't a fan of crows to begin with, because they have a bad rap all around, but I was like, oh my gosh, no, never, one time, this is how much I don't like crows beforehand. It was one time I was going into a job, and I was just like, something just tells me I'm going to get fired or released today. I just my gut knew it. there was really no reason for me to think that. My gut felt it, and just as I started thinking it before I got into the building, a crow, right before the front door of the building, flew down and sat in front of that door. And then it just walked. Nice, and I was right there. It didn't care. It just walked right in front of me, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely. And you know what? I got let go from my job that day. It was, so every time I saw a crow, land near me, I was like, something bad's gonna happen. This is, I got let go of my job, not for firing or anything I did, but, it was not enough work downsizing. Anyway, so I was like, so here's these crows again. And I'm like, I don't like crows to the point of almost hating them, but if what, what the messages they give me is really, truly spiritual, they serve their purpose. They're doing their job. I really can't hate them. But when I saw them take those bird eggs, no, I was mad. I was furious. I was like done with the crows, whatever. So, but anyway, I went and I was gonna take a cute little nap here with us. She only does this when I read the Bible. You should see this cat when I dig out the Bible. She has to be right there, and she's touching the pages, and she makes me. I read it out loud to her, and she loves that time. She loves Bible time. Strangest cat ever. Love her though. But anyway, so then this year in the spring, I thought, well, I just could see the birds flying around once in a while. They'd land on my deck, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a bird feeder. I'm gonna feed them and see if the doves will come back. So I wasn't really seeing any doves, so I ended up getting a bird feeder and feeding the doves. And are you going down, Violet? She's the star of the show. Okay, I thought she was going to jump on the light. Sorry about the camera moving. She jumped on the table everything's sitting on there. But anyway, so I got a bird feeder and I started feeding the birds. And first the crows showed up. No doubt about it. And I'm right, I'm feeding these dang crows. I want them to go away. The crows are here. The doves are never going to show up. But then all of a sudden the doves did come in. And I was like, okay, so we're good with that. But what I really noticed was one day I was just really sitting there observing, and the doves and the crows would eat from the same feeder. So I had several feeders sitting out on the deck, and then I would sprinkle extra on the deck. So they were intermingling amongst each other, eating side by side, and I thought, huh, that's really weird because the crows scared the doves away the year before, so it could be a different batch of doves. I don't know, but they it was nice to see them all together, and I thought, you know what, if they can forgive and eat together, it's like breaking bread together. More of us should, starting with me, because I was going to witness this. So I'm like, okay, I need to start letting go of things. I need to start eating with my enemies, meeting with them, opening doors, doing what the Bible says. Love your enemy as you would love yourself. If they need water, give them water. They need shelter, give them shelter. Because the irony of the Bible is you do these things for your enemy when your enemy is in need. That's most likely when God's going to give them vengeance, because now God sees you have held nothing from them. You were loving, kind, and caring, and they did this stuff to you, and that's when God pours the hot coals on them, so to speak, type of thing. So, then I thought, okay, yeah, this is a lesson right from the Bible that I'm seeing firsthand in birds, crows, and doves. The beauty of it was then, here's my ADHD, but this is true. This really happened. All of a sudden, this black squirrel, and I happened to be missing my black cats. I had this little baby black cat who always slept in my head every night, and when I would go to bed, she'd meow, meow. Her name was Chloe, and she'd see me putting my pajamas on. Oh my gosh, she gets so excited I'm coming to bed, and it was all night long. She would just snuggle with me, and I happened to be missing her that day, And then later that afternoon, I looked out at the bird feeder and there was a squirrel out there. And I was like, it's a black squirrel. I've never seen a black squirrel. I always see gray ones. Like, look at a little black squirrel. And I didn't care that she was eating the bird seed. I had plenty. I'll put more out. I don't care. Let her eat. It was so cute. She was so cute. Adorable. Well, all of a sudden, she came up to the glass where I was sitting and she could see me. And she had a nut in her paws. And she just starts nibbling away on the nut and stood on her hind legs and looked right at me and ate her nut, almost like saying thank you. It was so sweet. But then I could tell she was pregnant. I thought, oh, we're going to have baby squirrels. So it's like the ADHD. Squirrel, squirrel. Then every time I would go to my patio door, I'd be, squirrel, the squirrel's here. I don't know who coined that squirrel phrase, but it literally came true for me in a really weird way. Because, the squirrel had to climb up to the second story deck as well. So then I figured out her time patterns. She came at the same time every day. I thought, oh, this is fabulous. So I knew exactly when to, go look for her, when to make sure there was extra food out there. It was pretty awesome. Um, Next thing I knew, the baby cardinals had been born, and I had quite a few cardinals that would come around. They're vibrant red, just beautiful. And you could tell the females from the males. The males are red with, I think, little extra feathers on their head versus the females. So I knew that there was a lot of them that were pre-mating, and all of a sudden these little baby cardinals would swoop in, eat a few kernels, fly out like they'd just gotten their wings. It was so cute. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting to see babies. I may see babies again. I love it, So I was really excited, and in a way, I'm caring for them, not physically, but I'm feeding them. So it made me feel really good. So I was on my patio every day getting sun. Patio door was open, windows were open. I was all of a sudden, opening up to the world outside again through these birds and squirrels. Very strange things humans couldn't get me to do. The animals were inviting me. It's like Snow White. I am like Snow White. I would be out in the woods with all the animals. I don't want 7 dwarfs though. No, no, no. I am not taking care of 7 men. Not in a million years. Even if God demanded me to. I think I'd have an issue with me. God would have a war. We'd have a wee bit of a problem with that because no, I'm not taking care of 7 little men. I wouldn't. I couldn't even imagine having 7 sons. No, no, mm-mm. 1, 2, maybe. Not 7. That's 7 little boys. That's a handful. Anyway, then all of a sudden right after the baby cardinal shot, I would hear this really weird cawing sound. I knew it was a crow, but I didn't. It was unfamiliar. It wasn't like the typical crow caw, and so it got really loud, and it went to my patio door because I knew that's where it was coming from. There was one crow that was like breaking open sunflower seeds and then putting the seeds in this other crow's mouth, and then the crow would eat, and he would stop cawing a little bit, and then all of a sudden he'd start cawing really loud again. And I'm like, I think he's blind. For some odd reason, he's either old where he can't break the shells, or he's blind and he can't see the food because he wouldn't peck at the food. And I think he'd just sit there like he knew the food was there, and he'd caw and caw and caw till another crow came and fed him. And this would happen every day. This went on for about a month, and then he didn't show up anymore. But I thought it's either a super old crow or, but it was amazing to watch the other crows from his weird caw come in and feed him. He'd go to the food, they would feed him. I'm saying him, it could have been a female, I don't know. But that was a really neat experience, though, to see as well. It's like, okay, birds helping birds. You're supposed to help people. And it did activate me to attempt to go out and do some helping. You're going to find out when I do the homeless video how well that went. But I do, the best I can to help others, and not all situations work out so well. Most do, though. It just depends on the perspective you're going to take. The point is that you tried, you put it out there, you made an example, and what others do with that is up to them. And even though, the example I'm going to share with you is probably not as positive, doesn't mean that 10 years down the road, something positive that isn't going to trigger a thought in one or more people that were involved, and they're going to turn around and do something positive with that. Just like the thoughts I was having, with the birds and the squirrels. So, even when something doesn't turn out or work out the way we expect it to, maybe it wasn't supposed to. Because maybe there's some greater gift of what was done that is going to happen further down the line. We just need to trust in that. But we had to do what we had to do to put that out there or make that example. So, anyway, watch for the homeless video later this week, and you'll understand what I'm talking about there. But anyway, so the cardinals, the sparrows, all that. Well, then next there was baby squirrels. Little baby squirrels started running around. I could see them in the grass running around down below, and Mama Squirrel would be up eating. There was must have been another Mama Squirrel that was a gray squirrel that all of a sudden I would see running around in the grass through the trees. And there were two baby gray squirrels and a Mama gray squirrel. And then my black squirrel that came up to my deck, she must have had two baby black squirrels, because I would see the four little babies would all play together, the gray and black ones, which is another, sign for me, like, see, white and black people can play together and have fun. It was kind of like seeing, two different races in a way. So that was really, really cute. And then, it makes you think, we're not born prejudiced. We're not born with biases. We're not born racists. That happens because of what we're fed in life. And just like I was feeding the squirrels and the birds, if I'm not giving them good nutrients, they're not going to come back and eat. However, we don't always have to be fed as children or young adults the right nutrients, or we don't even know what the right nutrients are necessarily, to be fed a bunch of stuff, and then we start believing it. We idolize our parents, we idolize our friends, other people in society, maybe somebody famous, and when they do something or say something or treat somebody a certain way, we take notice of that, especially at a young age. And we start building our perceptions of what we think of other people based on those that we look up to. Okay, so this is for famous people. It is so critical for you. I know that you don't want to be judged. You don't want, but that's part of the fame. You're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to have to be that shining example. When you do something wrong, you're going to have to openly admit it. Choose a different profession, is all I can say, because this is normal in society. But it's not just them. It's parents, teachers, anybody that these children interact with, they could idolize. I had a fifth grade teacher that I thought I loved to the moon and back. I mean, he was handsome in fifth grade. I was like, gaga goo goo over this teacher. Anything he said or did, I would have followed through what he taught in the classroom. So I was that easily persuaded at that age because I liked this teacher. Okay, I liked the way he looked. I liked the way he talked. I liked the way he taught. I liked the attention he gave us kids. So I began idolizing. I didn't know in fifth grade. When was I 10, 11 years old? I was idolizing somebody and being that influenced. You can be influenced by a stranger on the street when you see them do a good act, when you see them do a bad act. Okay, so I encourage everybody to do the right things. It's the only way we're going to be able to remove these biases. Now that includes the gangs. Stop toting guns, making drugs look good, because you are encouraging other children to do that. And I know, okay, bad for business, right? That's how you're making your moolah. Do something else, please. Because even though you were raised that way, you can change it. You have power. You're right. The weapons, the threats, the whatever, that's power, right? That you think that you have, that's not your real power. Your real power is changing somebody's mind that something bad is cool. That takes power. Planting that seed, watering and watching it grow, that takes strength. That takes dedication. That takes power. And that makes you one amazing human being. Okay? And there are people out there doing that for free every day that sometimes can't feed themselves. So I don't buy any excuse that you need to have all this material stuff and you need everybody to notice you. We don't. We don't. I'm definitely not doing this to be noticed. This is the last thing in the world I actually want to be doing, is being out in the public eye, outing myself on everything. But I'll tell you what, if it changes one life, like I've said before, I will do it over and over and over again. And call me out of my crap. Because I'll own it. And I'll take it and I'll change. Because I'm willing to. So we need to be willing to. I'm wondering, and you're going to hear at the end of the story, and I'm looking at my patio door because I'm hearing some noise. When I get to the end of this, you're going to find out why I'm hearing the noise and what I think it is. But I don't think it's necessarily that. It might be. I'm just going to keep going. We're almost there. You'll see. I know that seemed a little crazy, but this is how my life goes. Everything happens at the perfect time. Okay, it really does. Timing is precise. So the next thing I noticed was there were wasps. So in some of the birdseed that I got, there were raisins. And all of a sudden it started attracting these wasps. Ugh, I am not a bee hornet wasp person, right? But so they're flying around the food, and I thought, great, now the birds aren't going to be able to eat the food. The baby squirrels were just starting to crawl up to the second story. Even though there was one little gray one who was too little yet, he made it, he got halfway up the post, and he kind of started slipping, and then he tried getting down, he couldn't, he kind of fell. I'm like, oh no. But he was fine, back on his feet. But he wasn't strong enough yet to be able to do it. But some of the black squirrels were coming up and eating with Mama, which was adorable. I loved it. It made my day when I would catch them. But the wasps all of a sudden were around. I thought they're going to chase the birds and the squirrels away. Great. It's now one battle, it's another battle we're fighting. But I just let it go for a day, and I thought, I'll think about it, I'll take it to God. What do I do? I kind of felt, leave the wasps alone. Like the couple of raisins that are there, let them eat them. Okay, let it go. The birds and the squirrels don't care about the wasps. We as humans, we go, oh my gosh, it's going to sting me, it's going to hurt me, kill it, get away, right? No, they went right up to the bird feeder, wasps right in there, chowing away at their food. Wasps flying around them, didn't care. I don't think a single one of them got stung. And at one point, there must have been a dozen of them there. And there was another 8 birds eating with all of these wasps flying around them. They could have cared less. Another point where I saw nature adapting and how all these animals coexist. And they're all looking for food. So as long as they're all eating at the same table, it's fine. And it really reminded me of the Last Supper, where Judas is eating with the others, and Jesus says, one of you is going to betray me. And he already basically had. But yet Jesus washed his feet and fed him, knowing ahead of time he was going to set him up for the kill. And I thought, okay, those wasps could be killing these, sting them and hurt the birds, but the birds don't care. They're going to eat with the wasps. But wow, this is like really, really awesome. So I'm, feeling more invigorated and learning more every day, watching nature just through my patio door and my windows. But paying attention. I didn't just take it for granted. Oh, look, there's a bird. Oh, this or that. I was paying attention to what God was providing me, these lessons. Then, and this is why I had to look out the door, or by the door, because then raccoons came. So, got my own little petting zoo going on my deck out here. Now, our nighttime feeders were the raccoons. I would leave the feeders out at night, and they were sitting on the deck. So, it wasn't like they were hanging up where, they couldn't get to them. So, they were sitting out on the deck floor. The raccoons would come up, they basically cleaned any leftover debris that was on the deck, they ate, and anything that was left over, they'd knock over things, they'd they'd chow down. You know, it'd be gone. By morning, that deck was clean, spotless, you know, this raccoon. Well, I didn't see the raccoons necessarily. Then all of a sudden, I get a call from my landlord. Well, I get a call, I get a text message. Anyway, that says, we have a problem. We have raccoons. I'm like, I was wondering how the deck was getting cleaned every night. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was a raccoon that was coming to the second floor to eat. I thought, well, this is a pretty hungry raccoon. Let it eat the leftovers. I don't care. Well, the problem was the people on the first floor below me, which they're older people, they're in bed by 10 or 11 at night. It's not like they go out on their patio at night. Raccoons are nocturnal animals, okay? Apparently they got hissed at by a raccoon, so we got to stop feeding the birds. You can't do that. I thought, well, I have 50 pounds of bird seed. I'm not about to eat myself. So what do I do with all this bird seed? I don't respond to my landlord again. I'm one of these people that now is like, no quick responses. I shall take it to God in prayer, and I'll wait until I feel I have an answer. So, because my gut instinct is be really upset, fight for the birds, yell at your landlord. Like, no, pause, reflect, take it to God. You'll have a calm answer. And sure enough, next day I was like, okay, sweep it all up. So I swapped my entire deck, and apparently some birds who was getting down onto their deck, I took weather stripping between my deck boards, and I put the fit in there perfectly. So I put the weather stripping, you know, in between there, and it's, you know, peelable, so it's not like it's doing any damage. But I put that in there, so there's no holes. So if you know, and I thought I won't put the food out on the deck anymore. I'll just put it in the bird feeders, and they'll have to. But when they eat out of the bird feeders, of course, shells and stuff come flying out. So I had to make sure nothing could get to the deck boards. That way, no food's getting over the side of the deck. That the raccoons can get in the grass. I hopefully won't encourage them to come up anymore, and I swap the deck off every night. Well, the next day, before I came to that conclusion, the next day I went out and fed the birds like normal, and I did get a text message going, Carrie, didn't you get my last message about the raccoons? I mean, within 2 minutes of me feeding the birds. So, like, who's watching me, you know, feed these birds? I mean, like, with 2 minutes, I had a text message. Didn't you get my last text message? I still didn't respond. Now, you're stalking me, landlord. I mean, were you sitting out there waiting? You know, whatever. Okay, so I was not in a proper mindset to answer that text at that point. I let it go for the rest of the day. Went out, swept up the deck, cleaned it all up. Well, not that night. I didn't. The plan was the following days when that came to mind to do this whole cleaning process to not encourage the raccoons to come to the building, even though I felt bad. The raccoon was doing me a favor. But anyway, then that night, though, I heard this noise out on my patio, which is why I looked. And the raccoon might have been out there. They didn't come last night, so they might have came tonight looking for food. They might do that for a few days before they realize it's not there anymore. So I bring the feeders in, I sweep it all up. There's nothing going over the edges or the sides of the deck, so there's nothing to encourage them to come back. But when I went that night, I heard the noise, and I took a spotlight out so I could spotlight the deck. The mama raccoon was so big and beautiful. She was gorgeous. As a baby raccoon with her, oh my gosh, it was so little. It was so cute. And it's trying to eat, and it's following mama and doing its thing. Well, and all of a sudden, mama got a little spooked, and she went over to the side, and I could watch how she got through the post, which is unbelievable. How she transformed her body to get through these posts to go down the main post down, you know, to the bottom. And the baby scuttles himself over there, and he's little enough to get through the post, he or she, but tries to a little bit. It doesn't really know how mama did what she did to get down. Then it goes over to the other side, and all of a sudden it starts making this whining sound. I don't know if you've heard raccoons talk to each other. But it was really cool to hear. And then you hear the mama respond, and the baby, and it's like a chatter, chirp that they're giving each other. And the baby all of a sudden goes head first on the pole, and then uses the banister thing to get himself turned around so he's head up, and then finally tries to scuttle down. But I think it was the first time the baby must have been up here because it did not understand how to climb down, and it must not have a lot of tree experience yet climbing down trees. Or maybe trees are easier than posts, I guess, for ducks, most likely. But finally, the baby, did get down, and it was the sweetest thing. And I thought, another gift from God, a mama and a baby. I thought, what are you trying to tell me? Am I gonna have a baby? No, I don't think God's gonna tell me I'm about to. Though my gut instinct has always said, I'm gonna have a baby in my 50s. Just you watch. Even though I'm not planning it, even though I'm not planning being with anybody, just this is my prophecy. By the time I'm 60, I bet I have a baby. Just you watch. God apparently thinks I have nerves of steel. I guess he made me. He would know a lot better than I do. But anyway, so I haven't heard from the landlord since. I'm only going to feed them till I run out of feed. Okay, I'm not going to run out, keep buying feed. I'm also not going to waste this, and I don't know who to give it to. So I'm feeding them till I run out of feed. Then I will obey my landlord's request, but as long as I can keep everything clean and I don't hear any more raccoons, I think we should be fine. If the raccoons continue to be a problem and I keep hearing them or seeing them, I will stop. I don't want to endanger any of my neighbors, but the raccoons need to be fed too. And here's the thing. Your deck out there is an outside environment. Your apartment or house is an inside environment. The raccoon's not coming into your home. You're going out to its home. Okay? But then you want everything to look nice and you want to have these, beautiful things, but you have to realize you're creating them in the wildlife environment, the outside. Unless you put a shelter around it, animals are allowed to do whatever they want to the outside. That's their world. Okay? So it's my big thing is like, okay, you're upset they're on your deck and they're hissing at you through the patio door. Late at night, well, I don't know, what are you doing outside at midnight? First of all, I don't know. I'm not outside at midnight running around in the middle of the night at, I think they're 70 years old, so I don't want to know what they're doing out late at night anyway. But it just felt like people were stealing my joy. There goes my joy. I can't feed my birds that were coming to me that were, I'm like, so now I'm going to have to shut my doors, shut my windows. Because the first day I thought about it, it depressed me so bad. I don't even want to look. If I can't feed the birds right now, they're going to come here looking for food, and they're not going to find it. I disappointed another round of animals. I hurt another round of animals. I can't face this. I can't watch them. I can't look at them. It hurts me. Yep, Violet. Violet's she has these little stuffed mice that have catnip in it, and here she goes. She's gonna barrel around. And when she plays with them, she catches them in her mouth, and she'll meow like a barn cat would if it caught a mouse, like she caught a real mouse. And then she does this weird chasing, running. She'll run away from it, and then she'll come running back and try to catch and bat it around and catch it again. That's Violet. So at least I have her. So far, nobody's tried to destroy that. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I knew it was going to be really depressing to feel all of that all over again. But I found a way to adapt to it that hopefully society can agree with as well. But then it took me back to some childhood trauma too in that 24, 48 hours that I was contemplating not being able to even watch the birds, watching them come for no food, being disappointed. I was disappointed in myself in a way. Then it made me think about things that happened to animals when I was a child. Like, I had a parent that we had baby kittens. My sister was allowed to keep one. And my mom, I didn't watch her do it, but she took the mother cat and the kittens, and she told me, she goes, we can't have these cats here anymore. And I don't know why she wasn't planning on giving them away. But she said she was going to go, she was going to put them in a sack and go drown them. And we had a pond, a lake she was supposed to go to. And I don't know what I did the rest of that day. I know I didn't see her the rest of the day. But all I can picture is these baby kittens that we played with and loved. And the mother cat was so good at letting us play with the kittens from day one, from the day they were born. They were just gone. And then the kitten that my sister got to keep, a few days later, my father went to start his vehicle. And as he's pulling out, it conked out on him. I had to laugh because I thought he's always, having to fix our vehicles. I said, oh, no, finally something happened to yours. And I could see him lift the hood. He's pulling something out. And later that day, he tells me, he goes, that was her cat. Your sister's cat was in the fan and it got killed. And to make me feel bad for picking on him about what happened in the vehicle. But I never did. I guess my sister watches this. She'll know now. I couldn't tell her. We were just like, her kitten just never came back. I was like, oh my gosh. We love that. My Singer pictures, I took that kitten. It was like 4 or 6 weeks old and had it in my Singer pictures. So my Singer pictures have this cat that I know died. This vehicle love. Can't look at that anymore. That brings back a bad memory. But then we had puppies too. My dog Ginger had a batch of puppies, and there was like 3 or 4 of them. And we used to give away the dogs, but there's 3 or 4 of them that people weren't, calling to take. So I don't know why. There was some special deal on euthanizing animals at the vet or something. But we ended up at the vet's office, and my mom took the puppies with me and my sister and the puppies and my dog to the vet. And inside the vet office, we all went in, and I didn't know what transactions were going on, but then all of a sudden, the vet goes, you want me to do this in front of the kids? Really? And she was furious now, so I realized, oh, Mom goes, well, no, we'll go. And so my mom, my sister, me, and my dog Ginger left, and we went to the grocery store. And I knew we weren't going back to get the puppies. As time passed, I realized she had them put to sleep, these little baby puppies. I don't know why she didn't take them to a shelter or something. Why pay to have them put to sleep? It's tough. But we went, what the toughest part wasn't even that for me. We went to the grocery store, and the dog stayed in the car. We got back in the vehicle. We had to drive past the vet's office to go home. As we drove past the vet's office, my dog, knowing her puppies were still there, as we drove past it, she put her front paws at the window and just started scratching and whining. I'll never forget watching that. And I thought, she knows her puppies are there. And we're not going back to get them. And that was childhood trauma. That was something I will never, ever be able to forget, is watching that mama dog just want her babies back. We took her babies to a strange place, and she wanted them back. So please don't do that to your kids or your dogs. Please don't. Have some mercy and kindness. I don't know why things had to be done that way, because I could have babysat at home. She could have just taken the puppies. I don't know. I to this day can't understand some of the things my parental figures did. It was almost like traumatizing us. It was a game or a sport at times. Toughens you up. Well, the tears flowing out of my eyes, I'm not real tough from it. It caused damage. It didn't cause strength. Okay? Don't do that to your kids. Please, I beg of you, don't do that to your kids or your pets. Because it was horrible watching my dog feel that way. But anyway, some of the things that, kind of took me back to the Bible on animals and kindness and taking care of them. I couldn't help with all the stuff with my landlord and the raccoons, to recall the part of the Bible where Noah was ordered to save the animals. So he did. I'm going to bring a box of Kleenex over here when I do these videos because this is getting pathetic. I swear I cry in every one. And I'm not a pretty crier, as you guys can see. Oh, I got to get my crap together. Anyway. so, anyway, Noah was ordered to save the animals and not the people because the people were bad, not the animals. So, we're to care for the animals, even though God does. I definitely think God sees that as a testament to how well you take care of animals and the world around you, because God created the animals first, then he created Adam, right? On the sixth day, the final day, creates these animals, tells Adam, you're in charge of them. You care for them. Okay? Now, God will care for them and he will provide for them the same as he does us. But he does expect us to do our part. And don't think that you're not being judged on how you treated animals. I think a lot of some of these animals are here to test us to see how we do. How do we treat them? Are we selfish, or do we love them like we would love everything else? The outside environment is theirs. If you walk into that environment and they hurt you and attack you, well, you're outdoors. Can't blame the animal. And a lot of times these animals are coming into inner cities. Like, I just saw a deer in town. There's no trees. Why is the deer there? We're driving them from their habitat into places they don't belong, where we don't want them, right? Into our homes. Then leave them a habitat to live in, okay? I don't think this takes rocket science for us to understand that we're not the only creatures on Earth. We need those animals because each one of them has a function, just like we need every human being. We all have functions, okay? Every culture, every race, every sex. We all have a purpose. We all have a reason. And if we work together, we can put the puzzle together. When we keep working apart, there's always pieces missing and something's not going to work. So that includes the animals. And I'm sorry to be such an animal activist, but I am. I've cared. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've ever been loved by a human being, and that includes my family, my parents, my grandma, maybe. I don't think I was ever really loved. And as I go through these videos and explain more things, and like I said, I'm only pointing out certain things that I can't explain other people's actions. I'm not trying to say my mom was a bad person. I don't know, being a child, what was necessary. I was probably between 12 to 14 when those things took place. What financial barriers, what stress in her marriage she was going through, what was all going on that drove her to make that decision. That's for her to own. I'm not saying she's a bad person for what she did, because again, I'm not here to judge her, okay? And I don't want anybody else to judge her either, because we don't know the circumstances behind those decisions. One, I can't validate she actually drowned the cats. I don't know. She said she was going to. I don't know if she just took them out in the woods and let them go. And they died. I don't know. We never saw them back around. That's all I can tell you. Okay, and the threat, but that doesn't mean it happened. Puppies I know were euthanized because I was right there. I almost got to witness it. So don't understand why go to the vet and pay to have them put to sleep instead of continuing to try to find them a home. But again, I don't know the circumstances. Not everything was black and white in my household growing up, and I was a child. I didn't know all the adult things. So, and that's, just one example. But if we see people abusing animals, by all means, step in. Stop it. Rescue that animal. That animal needs your help. Okay? And let's try to raise the animals to be kind and protective and wonderful. Look at how canine German shepherds are saving lives every day. Bloodhounds are out there finding lost children in woods, or helping us solve crimes. We need the animals as much as they need us. Let's work together and stop hurting them. They're not there to be abused. I heard a story once from a grown man that talked about him and his brothers putting firecrackers on cats' tails and thinking that that was funny. And I'm like, that dude, not funny. Not funny at all. Where's the humor in that? Somebody put a firecracker up your butt and lit it on fire, and tied up your hand so you couldn't get to it to get it out, you'd be running too, hoping you could squeeze it out or doing whatever. Are we supposed to sit and laugh at you as your butt explodes? Well, one, it wouldn't be funny because I don't want crap all over everything, so I wouldn't find that amusing in the least either. But if it could happen to you and you wouldn't think it's funny happening to you, don't do it to an animal or another human being, please. Before you do something, think about what it would be like to have happened to you. It's not hard to put yourself in other people's shoes if you can imagine yourself going through it. So, I'm sorry, that's quite a soapbox, but we're getting on animal abuse now, and I can go off on that. Or an abuse of children, or any kind of abuse. I don't care if my life is in danger. If I'm witnessing it, I'm intervening. I don't care if the person's got a gun, a knife, what, I'm intervening. There's no way I can sit and watch people or animals be abused right in front of me and not do something about it. And I encourage other people to. You see people being verbally abused or whatever, step in. Hey, what's going on here? Because these people need our help too. There's a reason that they can't fend for themselves. They need someone to help. So keep that in mind. Now, I'm not saying draw weapons, kill people, start fights. Call the police if you have to. Do whatever you have to do that doesn't put you in danger. I would probably put myself in danger because I'm headstrong. I'm a rebel. I am quite the rebel. So I would. But again, I don't panic in situations either. It's just this really weird thing I've had from childhood. I don't panic. I take control or get things under control or make things safe. That's all I ever try to do. I'm not trying to hurt anybody else. But word of the day, or quote of the day from the Bible that I was really drawn to on my birds and wasps comes from Matthew chapter 6, verse 26, which is one of the Gospels in the New Testament. And it says, "Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they?" So it does go to show, it says in the Bible, God feeds every sparrow. He loves them and protects them and takes care of them. And you notice the birds don't freak out when they don't have food. They know God will provide for them. They're that secure. Birds are. Really watch birds. They don't seem to have a care in the world. But yet, and even when the doves gave up the fight for the crows, it was like, okay, God will provide us some other way. It took nature for me to realize that, and this quote from the Bible from Matthew, that God will provide me a way. I have to start letting go of some of the sorrow. Even if I can't feed the birds, open my windows, open my doors, get out on my patio. God wants to give me the sun, and He used the animals as a way to coax me into the sun and out of the darkness of the solitude I've been keeping myself in. God is using little things to get me out of my shell. These videos, I'm hopeful that once I start doing the interviews on We the People, that I'll eventually be on the street. I'll be able to interview some of the homeless, just interview random people. Really start getting myself back into more of a social environment again, where it's more than just the fellowship of the people I go to church with, that I can get past the trauma that I went through with the ending of my second marriage and the potential of murder, that I can start trusting again, socializing again, actually having a real life. I don't think God saved me so that I could just be pent up in solitude for the rest of my life. And He's given me all of these life lessons and all of these things that I've been through. And I'm not even kidding you, when 6 months ago, this was back in January of this year, when I was sleeping and I woke up out of a dead sleep. And all of a sudden I had these ideas from past things I'd been through, and I write it down. So I just started writing down, just jotting these little notes. And before I knew it, by February, I had pages and pages and pages of these little notes that from the middle of the night, or it would come in the middle of the day, just weird random thoughts from things that had happened in my past, or something how it relates to today, just really antagonizing me, so to speak, until I'd write it down and then go on to the next moment. Then in February, I started looking at these and really sitting down and researching them in my life and in the world, and comparing to COVID, and just really using it as kind of a project for myself. And I'm not even joking you. I still keep writing them down, and I still keep digging deeper into them. And at this point, I'm up to almost 600 different video topics from traumas of my past, or learning traumas and learning lessons, and things I've witnessed and what have you, that I could document already, that God has reminded me of. And He doesn't just remind me, He reminds me, and then I feel, my mind gives me these simple little phrases. I was like, that makes sense. That and that goes together. I get it now. It's like God's helping me put a puzzle together. He used the animals between last year and this year to do that as well. And He's not done using them. So He's trying to show me something. I'm not going to be afraid to observe it and to get the message. Okay? You'll understand more why I listen to my intuition and why I write things down and do this. It's been since I was a small child that I have had this intuition and this ability to know things without knowing, so to speak. So when these thoughts or these images come, I write them down now. I don't just let them go, and they all are coming together and making sense, where before I just would let things go. We could be here for years. I could be here for years just talking to myself. The point is, I put it out there, and there is a lesson behind everything. And again, like I always say, and I will say this at the end of every single video, so I'm getting a t-shirt made. I'm going to own the truth before the truth owns you. And the truth here is really from God's word. God takes care of the birds. They don't have to worry. Are we not more valuable to God than the birds? He made Adam last. Yes, man. He everything was good. And He made man, and it was really His greatest. Everything was complete. Well, it wasn't complete. He had to make woman yet. And there's a video on that I'm going in deep with. Like, everything was done, I thought. Nope. He hadn't made the final cherry, on top yet. Funny, females cherries. I'm not going there yet in this video. No, I'm not. But that's how my brain works. Just boom, just like that. Anyway, yeah, woman was created last. You remember that, man. His final copy was superb. Like me. No, I'm not. I'm so not. I'm not conceited in any way, shape, or form. I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not pretty. So, not conceited at all. But anyway, you are more valuable than anything else God has created: the earth, the stars, the moons, the animals. God took his greatest pride in man because it was made of his own image, his bones. Okay? God, looking in the mirror, created Adam. I had to be one hot guy. Imagine, just imagine how we've declined over thousands of years in the way men look. Adam was the ultimate man. We could bring that back in style, God. Okay. Anyway, we're valuable to him. Do not think that God thinks any less of you for anything you've ever done. You can go to him every day. You can go to him anytime. You don't even have to confess what you've done to other people. I've said that so many times. Your confession needs to be within you and God. That is a personal relationship that you can build, and it answers back. You know, I do. I get answers back from God every day in weird little ways. But you have to have faith, and you have to have trust, and you have to accept Christ as your Savior. And it goes from there, and it's your personal journey with God. Not everybody in my church is going to agree with everything I say in these videos. Oh, well, this is my personal journey with God. They don't have to. I have to. And God is the Word and He's the truth. So in this particular case, the truth is hoping that you see that the Word of God and the value God has in everything. And even in that Bible phrase, I know God will take care of the animals if I can't provide for them. I also know that I can start releasing some of the survivor's guilt of the animals that I left behind. God took care of them in ways I couldn't. Some He took home. Some He maybe gave to other homes so that they could teach or love or do something like that. But animals have been the only thing that have ever loved me. And I think God knew that that's how He needed to connect with me. He had to. It was the only way I was going to listen. I wish the best for all of you. If you have a pet, love it, kiss it, hug it. If you don't, that's okay. Hug yourself. Don't worry about hugging anyone else. I mean, hugging other people is okay. I know in our society we really can't now. But give yourself a hug. You don't need somebody else to wrap their arms around you. Give yourself a hug and imagine Jesus or God hugging you. You can feel it if you try. Hug yourself. You're worth it. You are more valuable than anything else on earth. Any possession, any house, any vehicle, any job. I don't care how low people make you feel. In my eyes, even if you're a criminal, and I know people in prison, and I write to people in prison that have done awful, terrible things, encouraging them, and still, don't give up on yourself. You can be a better person, and you can change somebody else's life. And all it takes is one person encouraging another, and that person encouraging another, and that person encouraging another. 1 billion people were not born in one day. It took a long time to get to 1 billion human beings. It's going to take a long time, one by one, but it's like paying it forward. But pay it forward through encouragement, and we can get there. Okay? Own the truth before the truth owns you. Love y'all. Love y'all. Y'all, like I'm from Texas. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.